This year's edition of GameDays took place from October 26th to 28th. What this conference is about and what interesting things you can find there, you'll learn from my report. Let's go! Hello, my name is Grzegorz Wątroba and this is my channel Wayward Preacher when I'm talking about games from developers' perspective. In today's report I will tell you a bit about what the GameDays 2023 conference looked like and which took place in Košice, Slovakia. In this conference that is a part of IT Valley initiative. It aims to create and increase awareness and interest in video games industry in Slovakia. It serves as a platform for knowledge exchange, business contacts, and it is a place for interesting workshops and lectures. The conference was held at Kasarny Kulturpark, a complex of buildings that includes conference center, business facilities, and concert halls. Lectures and exhibitions were located in Alpha building of the complex, where we could experience various activities, including presentations by many specialists from different areas of the video game industry, workshops, and discussions on the latest trends and technologies in games. Local games from both smaller and larger creators were also presented, as well as technological demonstration of the latest equipment that can be used in video game development. Perhaps it is not the largest conference I have been to, but it is truly developing incredibly from year to year. Previously it had about 500 participants, and this time it has already exceeded 700. Among the participants and speakers, we had not only local specialists from Slovakia and Czech Republic, but also from Poland, France, Germany, Belgium, and even Japan. The Slovak Game Developers Association, SGDA, is an organization that plays a very important role in supporting the development of video game industry in Slovakia, providing opportunities for exchange of contacts and knowledge between the companies, not only domestically but also abroad. It also works to promote events such as GameDays. I also had the honor of being invited to this conference as a speaker, delivering my lecture, which I will mention along the way. We will go through each of the 4 days spent in Košice from Thursday to Sunday. I had the time to listen to lectures, give my own, meet representative of the local video game industry and play their games. And at the end, I found a little time for sightseeing and partying with very interesting people I met during the conference. So let's start with Thursday. Since there was no direct flight from Wrocław to Košice, it was necessary to get to Warsaw first, and from there it is a 50-minute flight to Košice. The organizers provide me with a flight and hotel for the duration of the conference because I arrived quite late. On the first day, I only managed to attend to the evening party at the New Chicago Club, where I met people from Triple Hill Interactive, creators of Die by the Blade, Nine Rock Games, creators of Way of the Hunter, and Bohemia Interactive, the developers behind the Arma series. The venue where the party took place was very atmospheric, had good music, very good beer, but the most important was the team of great developers with whom I happily chatted the whole evening. The next day, Friday, I mainly spent my time attending to the lectures, and the lectures during the conference were divided into 2 halls, red and blue. In the red hall, lectures were mainly related to the work for artists, and in the blue hall we had a bit of technology, things related to production, and that's where I mainly spent Friday and Saturday. Here are the most interesting lectures I attended to. First, Creation of Earth by Cinek Svatos. He is the lead terrain artist at Bohemia Interactive Simulations, and talk about the systems and processes that led to creation of such detailed and efficient environments used for simulations and games. He presented how they use procedural generation to speed up the production process while maintaining the very high quality of created simulations. Another incredibly interesting lecture was by Viktor Mazur from Techland, who is a senior technology programmer there and focused on automation of processes that led to speeding up, among other things, building bug detection or managing repositories in the Dying Light 2 project and not yet announced second game that Techland produces, with which Dying Light 2 shares technology. Victor presented various ways to reconcile this process, how to share a continuously developed technology and at the same time have a product that is already released and constantly maintained. The solutions presented were incredibly interesting, and Victor had a great talent for speaking, so he kept the whole presentation at a very high level. It was incredibly interesting, and I thanked him very much for that. And next, Mao Sugiyama gave a lecture. He is a business development manager at Nintendo who talked about how to sign up for the Nintendo Developers Program, obtain a dev kit and work on a game or port for the Switch console. In the process, Mao presented a bit of company's history, why they focus on aspects more related to the game itself than technological ones, why fun is their priority, not visual effects, and what the whole process of developer support looks like in-game production. It was a very educational experience that will surely be needed by many creators who are facing such a challenge for the first time. Then there was a lecture by Christoph Klestil, co-founder of Mad Cookie Studio, where he talked about his first game and what creative and publishing process of Cardboard Revival looked like. He shared various lessons that life taught him in relation to different decisions that often came from an intuitive approach, and some were spot on, other less so. Hence, these so-called postmortems are usually enjoyed a lot of attention and are very valuable because they allow us to learn not only from our own mistakes but also to learn from mistakes of others. And here it was definitely a very educational journey, at the same time told in a very pleasant and accessible way. So again, a very interesting lecture. Then we had a Slovak Talents Abroad panel led by Daniel Rysan, who is the head of marketing development at Superscale, Gabriel Nagipal, a freelancer, and Pavel Budaj, the business development manager at Pixeland Games. They discussed the working conditions in Slovakia and abroad, explored the strength of the local business where developers had a broad set of skills, identified the gaps that needed to be filled, and discussed how to overcome certain adversities to firstly ensure the Slovak game industry continues to grow, and secondly how to ensure that the local creators make games in the country rather looking abroad constantly. This is particularly important since the entire Slovak video game industry is composed of approximately 1,120 people and 66 companies, many of which work in outsourcing for other companies. Despite not being as large as in Poland, where there are like 15,000 employees, the industry in Slovakia still generates substantial revenue, already around 77 million euros, which is not a negligible amount. In terms of proportions and structure, we have a lot in common with the Slovak game industry, including the proportion of target platforms. However, the choice of work mode is quite different, and as the most employees either work in a hybrid mode, so 53.7%, or exclusively on a remote mode, so 35.8%. Only 7.5% of employees come to the office. The most popular professions in Slovakia are programmers, artists, and designers. The job market demand is quite high, as there were 221 jobs offered last year, and this year an additional 50 have been added. So it's clear that the job market in Slovakia is also growing dynamically, and the biggest companies in Slovakia are Pixel Federation, Superscale, and InLogic Software. All focus on social or mobile games. The most well-known and highly rated game from Slovakia is The Way of the Hunter, created by the country's fifth largest company, Nine Rocks Games. And this panel was definitely full of many different interesting facts and important information. The rest of the data, if you're curious, can be checked out via the link provided in the description. If you are interested in how games are created beyond our southern border, I warmly invite you to review the source materials. After the lectures, at the same place where the conference was held in Kasarna Kulturpark, we had another party ending the second day of the conference. During it, we had a drawing contest where artists created sketches of characters for which several models posed, changing positions every 15 minutes, so it must have been an interesting challenge for the artists. We also had a generous spread of food and drinks in the company of great music. I spent the entire evening talking with the team I met the previous day, as well as several new people with whom it was very nice to spend time. It was another very pleasant experience, but it was necessary to wrap up reasonably early and responsibly head back to the hotel, as the next day began with my presentation. Saturday in Blue Hole started with my lecture, specifically in the same one that was presented at the game industry conference, titled A Few Words About Leadership in Code Teams. I discussed the traits of a leader, which he should possess, how they should behave, techniques for implementing changes, and how to communicate feedback. I covered what is beneficial to do at the level of the entire company, the production system, and individual teams, including programming, to ensure work proceeds efficiently with the right company culture, ultimately leading to a more pleasant, less stressful, and more efficient game development process. I was pleasantly surprised by a series of questions after the lecture, which continued outside the hall, as several people wanted to discuss certain comments about my presentation, which were also very valuable to me, and for which I am very grateful. The next very interesting lecture was Breaking Through Distribution, Selling the Game on Your Own by Duke Fu from Fungi's team. He discussed how one can sell a game on their own without publisher who would handle marketing at the distribution network. It is a method that allows one to keep a larger portion of their revenue, but comes with a significant risk and the need to appropriate marketing and contracts with platform owners, presenting a considerable series of challenges, as Duke discussed. It was incredibly instructive and inspiring, although in my opinion, it made me consider like seeking publishers when creating my first game, not the other way around. The final lecture I attended was by Miriam Kubovova, a community manager from Nine Rock Games, who presented from zero to hero, jumping into game development with almost no experience. She shared her story of working at the company from the perspective of absolute beginner, who eventually became the part of the team that created the best game produced in Slovakia this year, so The Way of the Hunter. Her journey was not just a stroke of luck, but the result of a lot of work, perseverance, and overcoming her own shyness. It was an incredibly inspiring and touching lecture that reminded me of my own beginnings in the industry. I hope that a recording of this will be available, or that Miriam will share this lecture at other conferences. Although it was her first lecture at the conference, she did incredibly well, and I wish her further successes in her career. After the lectures, I had an opportunity to get acquainted with the games presented at the booths. So Galaxy Highways by Nanopike is an old shoot 'em up that resembles a modernized version of Asteroids. It is undeniably dynamic, colorful, and very enjoyable to play. Then Thatros by Red Spark is a classic boomer shooter where we annihilate the hordes of hell. Then Grayton the Detective by Incidental Minds is a very interesting two-dimensional adventure about homeless person with a very sensitive hearing. I've seen the development of this game since the previous Digital Dragons, so the creator has fixed many errors and expanded the story's next chapters. It promises to be a nice surprise for fans of point-and-click adventures. Fallen Force by Simon Charney is a roguelite arena shooter where we fight monsters by either killing them or pushing them out of the arena. Although the game has a very simple presentation, it incorporates several very interesting features, so fans of smaller games that can sometimes surprise with interesting gameplay will definitely find something for themselves there. Desert Drifters by Phonolabs is a type of sand slider simulator where several people cooperate to beat the opposing team. This game forced cooperation because one person must constantly lead and drive the slider to not to crash on dunes, while another person is in charge of shooting. The game is meant to be a cooperative deathmatch, but the creators are also working on various other modes. Those who want something original for VR should keep an eye out. Then Darkfall by Square Knight is a city builder focused on survival in very inhospitable conditions, where we lead hero and his team, develop characters in RPG style, create new items and simultaneously maintain the walls of our settlement. The graphics are quite abstract, but the systems created in the game can be engaging for many hours, especially for someone like me who really enjoys games like Factorio, Valheim or City Skylines. There's a lot of interesting inspirations there, so if someone likes such systems, they should definitely check out the Darkfall. And of course, finally, Way of the Hunter by Nine Rocks Games. It's currently perhaps the most technologically advanced and most extensively developed game produced in Slovakia, where we explore vast terrains and hunt wildlife, create traps, develop and expand our arsenal, all while admiring the beautiful scenery. If you have the spirit of a hunter and enjoy such endeavors, this is definitely a title worth exploring. The last event of the conference took place at Irish Club, where we spent the entire evening talking about games and more. We also touched on some political topics, as Slovakia had its elections a week before us, and it is a country that shares many similarities with ours, similar problems, so we had a lot of different aspects to discuss. It was very interesting, and I am extremely grateful to all my conversation partners. Then the last one standing took me to a Colosseum, an incredibly atmospheric place comparable to Krakow's classic rock club, jazz rock, or Liverpool in Wrocław. It was an incredible experience, and I thank all the participants of the night escapade very much from the bottom of my heart. On Sunday, with a few hours left before returning to my homeland, I decided to spend the time sightseeing. I went to the center of Košice and slowly walked along Hlavna Street, the most touristic part of the city, visited the historic St. Elizabeth Cathedral and St. Michael's Chapel. I saw the archaeological museum in the underground of Košice, the East Slavic gallery full of very interesting exhibits and paintings. There were many experimental and more unusual exhibits that provoked thought and showed the complex and difficult past of Slovakia after breaking free from the shackle of communism. I also visited the Slovak Museum of Technology, where the metallurgical past of the city was presented, as well as the development of modern technologies. The exhibition rooms took visitors through various areas of human civilization, showing how far we have come technologically. Of course, prominent figures in Slovak history were also there. Among the exhibits were interactive ones that delighted both younger and older visitors, so it was definitely an interesting experience. With the arrival of the night, it was time to pack and head to airport, but I definitely want to return to Košice, whether for another edition of Game Days or just for tourism, as there are still many different interesting places here, including Botanical Garden and Zoo. Slovakia, and Košice in particular, has a lot to offer, both as one of the centers of European game development and also as a place full of culture and wonderful people. From here, I would like to thank first and foremost Pavel Budaj, who invited me to the conference, then to Juraj Baxi and Zuzana Knezlova, who took care of me in terms of transport and accommodation. I thank you very much and of course, all who were fantastic companions to me. They made me feel at home, even though I was in a completely new place. They welcomed me into their park and made sure I had a great time. So once again, a big thank you. Martin Benetin, Denis Danko, Wieczesław Chudak, Miriam Kubowa, Juraj Baxi, Zuzana Knezlova, Pavel Budaj, Peter Nagy, and many others. I really sincerely thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Big applause and thanks also to the organizer of the entire event, and I hope to see you sometimes, maybe next year. That's all in my report from this year's Game Days. Soon more materials and streams. If you like the content I create, you can buy me a virtual coffee on the Buy Coffee to the website, link in the description. And if you're not afraid of Polish language, I encourage you to visit my Polish channel called Okiem Deva for more. Please like, subscribe and share further. Thanks a lot for being here, and until next time, cheers!